Oops.
Welcome to the Lift Heavy Run Long podcast, episode number 147. You can find us at www.liftheavyrunlong.com, on Twitter and Instagram at liftrunlong. Also, feel free to email me directly at the address wilson@liftheavyrunlong.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, you should be, because we want you to be there. Search for Lift Heavy Run Long Community and request to join right now. My name is Wilson Horrell. I am one of your hosts. I would like to remind you that the Lift Heavy Run Long podcast is not censored, so listen at your own risk. Lift Heavy Run Long has an app. We want you to be on it. For $3.99 per month, you can be part of that app, and you will be subscribed. What will you be subscribed to? You'll have 3 bodyweight exercises delivered to your calendar. You will have 4 barbell strength exercises and 4 daily WODs delivered to you and designed by Valerie Hunt of RunRx.fit. She is the greatest endurance trainer in the world, and she is also on the app and available to you. For $9.99 a month, you can have access to all of the programs that Lift Heavy Run Long has to offer. Everything from 5K programs to 100-mile programs to triathlon programs to Spartan races. Go to www.liftheavyrunlong.com, click sign up now, and you can subscribe to any of the programs for a free week on the app. If you like it, that's great. Sign up, be a part. If you don't like it, it just goes away. No commitment, no hassle. The goal of Lift Heavy Run Long is to deliver fitness to as many people as possible, as inexpensively as possible.
Easy for you to say.
As expensive as possible.
We're trying to make as much money as possible, and at $3.99 a month, it's just not happening. So if you or someone you know does not have $3.99 a month to spare, but you think that fitness would enhance you or their life, then please email me at wilson@liftheavyrunlong.com, and we'll be more than happy to add you to the app free of charge. I have, sitting to my right, my lovely wife, Dr. Amanda Kimsey Horrell, jacked and tan.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. What's new? Anything good?
Just living the life.
Living the dream. We have the best-looking cameraman in the business, Big Thirsty, Brian Swanson.
What up, yo?
How are you?
I am well.
Anything new to speak of?
Not really. Still not working out. Had a pre-diabetes scare that turned out to be a non-issue. I got a blood test that was too high, and they redid it, and it's fine. So
Bad blood test, not bad blood.
Like A1C?
No. My glucose was at 104. And my A1C's been at pretty much a steady 5 for like the last 10 years. So I wasn't as fasted as I thought I was, or something along those lines.
We don't want to hear you bitching about your blood levels in comparison to what
Speaking of
we're
blood
going to be
levels,
talking about.
I needed to talk about me for just a second.
But before we go to where we're going, I need to mention that we have the Chris Hope 5K that's coming up Saturday, October 5th.
That's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. And you can either be here at the race and participate in it, or you can be part of the virtual race. So if you go to chrishope.org and sign up, you can join the team LHRL.
Oh, the fact that it's October 5th means that it's not the same weekend as the 24-hour race.
that's what I was looking up, because it's the next weekend, the 11th,
24-hour
12th.
race is the next weekend, so I can actually do well at the Chris Hope 5K
Yeah, we can
this
actually
year.
do, yeah. I got the email today about the 24-hour race.
And then the next week, we'll have the Tour de Spree 24-hour race. Hope that as many people as possible in the Memphis area or wherever you are will come and join that October 10th and 11th. And then the week after that, we have the Big Hill Walking Pond 25K and 50K, which is sure to be another fun weekend.
Big Hill Pond Walking Tall 50K.
I can't wait for that one. It's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Who was that just talked?
We have with us, man, and we are so glad to have him with us.
Seriously.
Reverend Rhabdo who's been on the trip from hell. We made all these jokes about him not coming back, and we very damn near didn't come back. How are you, Rev?
I'm here. I don't know what to say.
How comfortable are you talking about this whole experience?
I'm very comfortable.
Okay,
I want
good.
to tell as many people as I possibly can about it.
Good. Your mindset seems to be good.
It's very good. And I can't, I'm still trying to put my finger on it. I feel like I have an opportunity to just like reset everything, fitness and personal wise, just start all over again.
You're in a good place.
I don't know how to explain it in any way other than that.
So you welcome the rest.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Cool.
So can we, for those that don't know what's going on, can we give the brief synopsis?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had episodes where I was going up to Canada for the process, right? Mm-hmm. Sorry, my voice is a little scratchy. So I went, flew up there, and made it. I got there, did the first day and night, and then I was out. I was done. Toast. I ended up with a, long story short, I'm sure we'll get into it, but I ended up with a pretty bad case of rhabdo, which is where when your muscle breaks down, it releases a protein into your bloodstream that your kidneys can't really process. Did I say that right, Amanda?
The myoglobin. Yep.
Myoglobin. And my levels were astronomical, like super high, and my pee was the color of this couch.
Wow.
To put things in perspective, the information that I got was Amanda said that we typically walk around with a level of 200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And that y'all will send people home from the hospital if y'all can get them between 6,000 and 8,000.
Yeah, usually 6,000 or lower is what we like to do.
They were going to send you home from the hospital if they could get you below 25,000. But your levels at one point were 600,000.
Well, here's what happened when I went in, and we'll get to it again, but just real quick. When I went into the hospital, for whatever reason, they could only measure it up to 16,000. I was told that their machine wouldn't read any higher than that or something. And then later on, the doctor came back to me and he goes, "Hey, I called a friend at the lab who was able to pull some strings and took your blood work and gave me the real numbers. And when you got here, it was at 655,000.
Wow.
Something or other. And, and my jaw immediately dropped. I was like, oh my God. Because I've researched this stuff in the past, but particularly now that I was in the hospital, I was like looking up cases, and people will go in for like 30,000. Mm-hmm. Dude that did Murph will come in, maybe make it to 80,000, 100,000. A real bad case, 300,000.
That's the thing. Like, I think of all the times that I've had like a really tough workout, like a Murph, where I like really went hard and and just felt wrecked afterwards, or a marathon. Like, I've had a couple marathons where I finished and was just wrecked for days and weeks afterwards. And I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure this is rhabdo. And now, after hearing about all the stuff you went through, I was just being a pussy. I was just being a pussy who was tired and a little bit sore. And I don't think, short of like my pee getting like crush orange, like that's about the worst I've gotten.
Well, let me tell you how I got there to begin with. So we've talked about it on other episodes, but we were to fly into Sudbury, Canada, and we had some coordinates we were supposed to be at a certain time on Friday at noon. And so we all got picked up by the bus, and it was all good. We had some exercises to do, and I'm not going to go into details because they probably don't want me to, but things we did in between when we got picked up and when we got to our camp, and it was probably a good 2-hour bus ride easy to where the campsite was. And I mean, it was in the middle of nowhere. Like, I have no idea where we were, just like in the middle of freaking nowhere. And after the bus ride, we got out and they said, change into your hiking shoes. Let's go. And so we grabbed our gear and hiked probably 3 or 4 miles up into the woods where the campground went was, and then it was on from right then. And
Well, at this
I mean,
point,
it
are
was-
you comfortable? Have you socialized with the other
We
participants?
weren't allowed to talk to each other.
Okay.
So there was no talking. It was very strict, very what I imagine boot camp is like in a real military setting. And so we weren't really very minimal communication between people.
Did they do a roll call? Could you tell that people were missing from?
Well, we couldn't get on. You had to have. They knew when you got on the bus who was there and who wasn't there.
Okay.
So I think we started off missing 5 people. So
Okay.
right off the bat, 5 people paid all that money to go there and just didn't show up. We're like, I'm not going to do this.
Wow.
And so we got there, did our hike up to the tents, and there was rucksacks there waiting for us with all the supplies and stuff in it. And I mean, we sat down for maybe 5 minutes, and the guys rolled up on their ATVs, and it was on. Like these were like there's probably, oh man, I'll screw it up. But there were several cadres, right, and they were in charge of this ship, and you were not going to screw up. It was very, very, very intimidating. And so right out the bat, started like what you'd imagine like military PT, like lots of push-ups and squats, like very, very demanding. Everybody has to go together. We're all a unit, do push-ups together, do squats together. If some guy messes up, guess what? We'll just start all over again. 25 push-ups or whatever. So-and-so can't do a push-up, so let's just start all over until he can make up his mind to do blah, 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 that kind of thing. And then, and that was probably an hour and a half. And I'm not good at pressing to begin with, right? So right off the bat, like holding myself up off the ground for longer than like 2 minutes, I'm starting to like, shake. And then I can't do push-ups or press to begin with very well, so I'm screwed right out of the gate. And so my arms were pretty fatigued, and I was like, fuck. Well, I've done Murph before. You've done Murph, and I know how I'm going to feel the next day after all those push-ups and pull-ups and stuff, and I have that feeling in my arms like, all right, tomorrow I'm going to be so sore that it really depends on what. And then I'm only an hour and a half into this thing. I'm like, I already know that tomorrow I'm going to be so sore that I don't know that I'll be able to do anything. I should probably just quit. Right?
Wow.
I should probably just quit right now, because if I'm imagining, I don't know what happened the rest of the days I wasn't there, but if you put a gun in my hand tomorrow, I'm not going to be able to hold it. Like I know that I'm going to be so sore tomorrow. That's neither here nor there. But
What kind of fitness level do you have in comparison to the other people out there, do you feel?
Similar, but there were probably 15 years younger than me, 15 to 20 years if I had to guess. But I can only tell by looking, 25 to 30 years old maybe. And I saw on Instagram earlier today, I think only 7 people made it out of the 24.
Whoa.
So I saw a post on Instagram today that had 7 guys sitting there on the logs.
So were you the first person that had to drop out?
I was the
ones?
first person.
Okay.
Yes.
Other than the 5 that no-showed.
Yeah.
Other than the 5
exactly.
that didn't show up.
Yeah, the 5 that no-showed
Yeah.
weren't even brave enough to.
So we got done with the first hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever it was. And I was like, okay, here's my plan. I'm going to keep going. Maybe we won't do any more push-ups, or it'll be something I don't have to use my arms so much for, and I'll just be a little sore tomorrow, and I can get through this. Well, that was way wrong. Like it got like
It was just getting cranked up.
that was just literally a warm-up. And so so then we had, I don't want to go into exactly what we did, but we were broken into teams, and we had logs to carry. And I mean, they were big freaking logs. And like, you were pressing these things. We had to squat these things. We had to do all these things with these logs. And I'm just like, every 5 minutes it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And then here comes some more push-ups as a unit. And I'm like, and I'll tell this story because I think it's significant. We had to do push-ups as a group, and coming back from the first exercise, which is a lot of carrying this log, we had to do 25 push-ups as a team. Well, I grabbed the team captain. I'm like, dude, I can't do any push-ups. Like, I literally cannot hold myself up. If I try to hold myself up, my face literally goes into the dirt. Like, and I was like, come on, you can do it. We'll just do one at a time. I'm like, I can't do. I'd never said that because at the beginning they said, you can quit. It's fine. All you got to do is say you can't do it. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not ever going to say that. So I'm like telling the guy, I'm like, my arms will not let me do a push-up. My arms will. So I'm sitting there trying my best to like hold myself up, and it just fall in the dirt. Finally, I got some guy to stand over me from behind, grab a hold of me, and deadlift me 25 times while I'm just like letting my arms go like this.
Oh my God.
So that I can get through the 25 push. So that's just a very, 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 very small example of what we were doing. There was like so much more, right? And so many more things that I just my arms were just not working, and the team was suffering because I couldn't work my arms basically. And
so anything that had to do with arms, that was a team exercise. They're basically working a man down effectively because you're just you're standing there. You're not really contributing.
Yeah. Well,
point.
I'm not standing. My face is I'm eating.
No,
like
I know,
but
like I'm thinking like the log carrier or something like that, where you're just kind of.
I did okay on that, but it just once we got back, like everything was just so beat up. And
I can't even imagine.
The anxiety level had to have been huge.
I was just out, man. I was just out. Like people were yelling, and I was just like, "Fuck it! I'm just gonna like go as hard as I possibly can." And when I'm done with this, I'm out tonight. There is no way.
Do you feel like everyone is feeling the pressure, or are you feeling like it's all on me? Everybody's watching me.
It felt like it was just me, is what it felt like, because everybody else seemed to be doing a pretty good job and hanging in there, and it felt like I was holding everybody back. And regardless of all, so we did so many more things and all kinds of stuff, but I was like, okay, I am completely done. And so I had made up my mind that the next day I was just going to go tell him, look, I can't be here. Like I know that I'm not going to be able to function. And I started wondering, do I have rhabdo? Because it was hurting. And so I had to put up a tent. Like my arms are shot. Like I have T-Rex mobility. So anything in here, like close to my chest, is where my hands had to be if I was going to do anything.
What time is it at this point? Dark.
It's dark, and I was guessing it was like 9:30.
Still can't talk to one another.
Right. You're supposed to be quiet the whole time. But again, this is a very small piece because I only made it one day, so I'm not giving away any big deal. But so you got to take your ruck out in the woods and set up your tent, and I'm trying to do that, and like tying up a string to a tree, and with my headlamp keeps falling off and thing, and I'm trying to pick it up out of the dirt because I've been doing all these exercises where my face is just in the dirt and I'm spitting dirt out of my thing, and my headlamp is falling off, and the guy's going, "Motherfucker, don't break my goddamn headlamp!" I'm like, I'm not gonna break your headlamp,
Sir.
and so I finally got my tent. It was literally just a string with a tarp thrown over it. Unzipped my sleeping bag, and crawled in there. I had wet socks on. It was 34 degrees outside, and just managed to zip that thing up, and just tried to stay still. And my feet got so cold, I finally got to where I could I couldn't reach down there and take them off, so I kind of used my feet to take my socks off because they were wet. And I thought, well, maybe not having wet socks on would be better than having wet socks on. I couldn't see anything, and I couldn't get anything out of my bags because my arms hurt so bad. And I did manage in the middle of the night to get up on my knees, and I crawled outside the tent, turned the little headlamp on, and tried to pee so I could see what color my urine was. But it didn't look dark. Like, now I'm learning, like, it always looks kind of light when it's going out, you know. But like when you put it in a white cup or whatever, you can really see what the color is. So I couldn't tell. So I get up. So it seemed like an hour or 2 hours went by, and some guy stuck his head in the tent and go, "Hey boys, time to get up." And I was like,
Oh shit.
all right. So it must.
Do you really believe it was probably an hour, or do you think you drifted off?
Maybe I drifted off, but I'm pretty sure
It wasn't an 8-hour night.
No, it was. It had to be like 3 o'clock in the morning, or 4 o'clock in the morning, because it was dark, and I was at the campsite after this for quite a while, and I think I got to the hospital like at 9 a.m. So it was real early. So I shimmied over outside of my tent to a tree I had tied my string on, and used my little T-Rex arms to shimmy up the tree and stand up. And I put my trail shoes on with no socks, and I walked over through. I'm like trying to get through the woods. I don't even know where I was. It's dark, and I'm like, hey man, I know we're not supposed to talk, but where's the cadre's tent? Like, I don't even know where. And he's like, just keep going that way. So I'm like going through trees. I get to the tent, and I'm like, cadre. And like, he's like, unzip the tent, come in. Like, all right. So I got
We
down.
can work something out.
So I'm like, I get
On your knees, boy.
I got down on my knees and unzipped the thing to where I could crawl in, and he was like, hey. I was like, I gotta quit. He was like, you gotta quit now. And I was like, I gotta quit. It's real bad. And so he set me in a chair, like a chair, and put some blankets over me. And like then at that point my abs started seizing, and it was like I was having a seizure. So my abs were just like would seize up, and I'd be like like I could hardly breathe, like very short breaths. And anytime he tried to move me, it would lock up like that, and I'd be like just stop, just let me sit here. And so he flipped on the floor lamp. No, he had like one of those propane heaters. Flipped that thing on me, covered me up, and called the medic. Which these people were so nice. Like when you're going through this thing, they're the meanest people you could possibly ever encounter. But once I was out, it was like super nice, super helpful. Like took really good care of me.
Are those medics part of the staff?
Yeah.
And they're out there with you. They didn't have to call them to
Right. No,
drive out
they were
there.
in another tent just down the way. So the first medic came in and started filling me with fluids, and they were real concerned about my toes because I couldn't feel my toes. They were worried I had frostbite or something. And so they messed around with my feet for a long time while I was drinking fluid. And we're just waiting on me to pee. They were like, we got to get you to pee. And I was like, well, I know, but I can't. You know?
God, I'd still be there.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny because
Just see last week's episode.
it's funny because we talked about that last week, and that's exactly what happened. And I was like, well, as long as nobody's trying to watch me pee, I can pee. But it's not. That's the way it was. It's like, okay, stand up. Do you think you can pee? And I'm like, well, could y'all get out of the tent? You know, like there's no way this is gonna work.
A little further. Keep going.
But I just
I can still
Cover
hear
your
your
ears.
footsteps.
Cover your ears. Turn around.
So I tried 3 or 4 times and I just couldn't do it. And so they needed that tent for something, so they moved me to a different tent with another heater, kept the fluids going. The guy had gotten my feet, but the feeling was coming back to my feet. And I'm drinking fluids and just couldn't go to the bathroom. And so Jess said, one of the girls said, okay, look, we've got a hotel room. You can go back there and you can stay there as long as you want to. Whatever day you're supposed to leave, just stay there, recover, and you can, when it's time for you to go home, you can just leave from there. Whatever it is you want to do. If you ever pee and it's the color of Coke, you need to she gave me a number to text so that we can get you an ambulance. I was like, all right, so I guess that's what I'm going to do. And I felt pretty good, other than I couldn't work my arms. And right before I was about to get on the gator to go back to this hotel or whatever, I was like, I just had to go to the bathroom. And so I grabbed a coffee cup, a white styrofoam cup, and went into the porta potty. And I started going to the bathroom and looked in the cup, and I was like, oh no.
It was that bad.
It was worse than bad. Like, I never expected to see
It
anything
looked like
like
you were
was it
filling
coffee?
a coffee cup with coffee.
Was it coffee?
It was. I mean, it was the color of this couch. It was brown. It was dark brown. And the one of the cadre guys is outside the thing waiting on me. So he opens the door and he goes, "Hey man, everything okay?" And I'm like, no, look at this. And I handed him the cup and he goes, "Oh shit." And so but I'm still peeing. It just wouldn't stop. I'm just like, you got to wait for me to finish because it's not stopping. And so he's like, "Okay, we got to call 911." So I finished there. They called 911, got me on a gator, got all my stuff packed up for me. Again, everybody was really nice and helpful. Got all my stuff packed up, drove me out down this trail to where the ambulance could get to, and put me on the ambulance to get me to the hospital. And so I get into the ambulance, and the paramedic in there is taking my blood pressure, and we're talking and stuff, and he goes, "Dude, you got rhabdo." Like, and he was a CrossFit guy. He's like, "Man, I go to CrossFit Timmons, blah blah blah." So we started talking about CrossFit, and he was like, "Dude, you got rhabdo, man. I've never known anybody that had rhabdo before."
He's like,
"Hell,
awesome.
Well, neither have I, you know. And so it was about an hour ride to the hospital, and
Now, at this point, when you had the coffee pee, was there a side of you that felt, were you more nervous at this point, or did you feel somewhat validated? Like, okay, guys, y'all got to see this. I didn't just quit. I'm screwed. I'm in trouble.
there was a little bit of I didn't just quit.
Yeah, this was medically necessary.
I got rhabdo.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna.
There has to be that.
I never told you I can't do it, but I got rhabdo, so I can't do it. I like, even if I wanted to, you know. There was a little bit of that, but you know, I left everything that I possibly had out there. I could not work any harder. I could not put any more effort out there.
It's the arrow.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I got to turn the air off.
Turn the air off.
I was just getting colder and colder.
Anyway, what I was saying was, like, I have never worked that hard in my entire life. Like, I've never tried so hard.
So it makes me wonder, like, because you're a fit motherfucker. I don't think anybody in our community would doubt that. I don't think anybody that knows you would doubt your fitness level. So, like, I mean, I just wonder, like, how many people, like, short of military people who, like, one of the only things they do is push-ups and pull-ups and stuff like that. Like, who could possibly pass this thing? And, like, and the training program that you didn't get because you got kind of signed up late or whatever, I wonder if it would have had you doing, like, 100 push-ups a day or something like that. And that kind of thing. Does that make any sense? Like,
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, what difference would that have made? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I just don't have an answer.
Did they give you information on the front end that you need to be able to do this many push-ups?
Not that I got. I was late in the game, so there were some things that I missed out on.
you did say there was some kind of a training program that others got. that
Yeah.
signed up for it.
But I was, again, I came in like
Right.
with 4 weeks left when most people were doing something else. But I don't want to get into that too much. I don't think it would have mattered. I think.
So before you start back with going to the hospital in the ambulance, do you get a second chance to come back, like a coupon or refund or anything, to go back and do it again?
Oh no.
Okay,
not at
so
all.
you're done.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
done. I
it's-
mean, if I wanted to go back next year, I'd have to sign up
Okay.
for it. But yeah, what was I saying? Oh, we were talking about quitting, and I have no shame in quitting because I could not have worked any harder. I couldn't have tried any harder. I couldn't have done anything differently that would have helped me in any other way. And they told me, like, even the guys, even the staff that was working there, they were like, "Oh my God, that was incredible!" Like, I was like, I don't think that's the right word for it, but
Well, that's the thing that we all said about you, or I said about you before you went. Like, you get into that pain cave and you just set up shop and make it a home, and you get comfortable there.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I did.
And your body literally had to shut down on you for you to stop.
Yes, and that's what makes me feel good about it, because it wasn't a thing of, okay, I can't, I quit, like,
Yeah, you don't have that regret of maybe I should have hung in there.
And that's what I was thinking early on. Halfway through the day, I'm like, I should probably quit, but I can't quit. I just can't quit, because then I'd be like, well, what'd you do? Well, I quit. Why'd you quit? Because it was hard.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't going to work on that particular day.
And throughout all of these endurance events, isn't that ultimately the goal, is to find your limit? And that's what we talked about, the guy that won Laz's backyard ultra race, who felt like he didn't get to where he wanted because he won, and he didn't get to where he couldn't go anymore. He didn't find his limit. And, Swanson was giving me crap about running 100 and saying, because I haven't found the limit with the 50. And you signed up for this going to find your limits. You happen to find it about 7 days probably earlier than you wanted to. Right. But you found that limit, and you know what that looks like.
Yes, and and I know what that looks like. And that's what one of the guys said to me before I went off to the hospital. He was like, "Look, have you ever been in that place before?" I was like, "No." And he goes, "So there you go. You've gone to a spot where you never have been before. You didn't think you could be at. Now you know what that feels like." So that there is something to that for sure.
There's a lot to that. I mean, there's a lot of people that would like to know, when the rubber met the road, would they be able to continue on until they physically couldn't continue on because of health reasons? And to make it to that point, you can wear that like a badge of honor. Like that paramedic said, I don't know anybody that's had Rhabdo. There's a part of me that's jealous that you've had it and I haven't.
No,
oh my God.
Definitely don't be jealous.
Have you had any contact with these people?
Yeah. She emailed me today or yesterday. Yeah. There was a guy. They've all been out in the woods until Friday, I think. And the guy that took me on the gator to the ambulance, he's been texting me for updates, and I'll send him an update, and he shares it with them because they don't have phones out there. And so then I guess they all got back today or yesterday, and I got a couple of messages from them wanting to know how everything was going and all that kind of stuff. So yes, I have heard from them.
And you say in the hospital they pumped you so full of fluids that you were 25 pounds heavier.
Oh my God.
Than you are right now.
Well, I got to the hospital, and they took me into ER. The hospital was full, so I had to stay in the ER. And they're checking me in, and I'm going, I got Rhabdo. Everybody that I come in contact with, I was like, my pee is the color of Coca-Cola. I've got Rhabdo. Look it up if you have to, but we don't need to do all this, however much I weigh or whatever this checking in business is. And they're like, okay, sir, well, the doctor will be here to see you in just a minute, and put me on a stretcher in the ER. One of these, it wasn't a room. It had a curtain around it. Mm. And so I got to go to the bathroom again. So one of my nurses, this guy is incredible. His name was Wayne, and I'll never forget this guy. I got to look him up on Facebook. And I'll talk more about him in a second. But I said, dude, I got to go to the bathroom. And he said, okay, well, let me go get you a thing. So he brought me one of those things you
urinal,
pee in. Yeah. And it's had a handle on it. And so I was like, all right. So I just went in. I was going to the bathroom. It's still just dark brown as this couch, as a Coke. And I filled that bottle up. And I was like, whew. But I was like, are you kidding me? It looks like I got a thing of coffee sitting here that came out of me. It scared the shit out of me. I was like, here you go, Wayne, take that. And so he takes it in the other room and he sits it down somewhere I can't see. And I hear in the background, I hear this doctor go, whoa, 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 whoa. Whose is that? And Wayne goes, it's the guy they just brought in. He's in the bed 4 right there, or whatever it was. And that guy, he walked over to me and he goes, is that your pee? And I was like, yeah. He goes, you know that's not good at all. he's like, this means that muscle's breaking down in your bloodstream and your kidneys are going to fail. Like, we have to get you on an IV now. Like, so he went and got a bunch of people and, like, they immediately started me on an IV.
Thank God he just happened to walk by or whatever.
I'm sure they would have.
Well, I mean, you're there for a reason. You're in a hospital.
Right. But that's when the IV started. And so I spent a couple of days in that ER because the hospital was full, and that stretcher bed, which was terrible, but I got morphine. So that kind of made me really squirrely. So I was kind of out of it a little bit for the most part. And then
That's a vacation.
And
they
put a catheter in me, which is not a vacation. And that was basically it for the rest of the week. I just sat there with needles, IVs in my arm going, and I couldn't use my arms like I can now, even. So I'm just laying in the bed, like just chilling out, for several days. And
now, are they worried about it accelerate from the time you got to the hospital? Are they concerned about the problem getting worse, or do they feel like that they have you in the right spot and they'll get you treated?
I couldn't really tell. I couldn't tell if they were trying to figure this out as they went along. Like, I know that they knew that they had to hydrate me, and that was the thing, but I'm not sure they had ever seen this before or if that makes any sense at all. I kind of got the feeling like they're just like, let's just put fluids in this guy and
flush the system.
Yeah,
I mean, that's pretty much
whatever
what you do, and just monitor your CK levels and make sure your electrolytes stay in balance.
Right. And so, like, it took a couple of days, but it started getting like orange. Like it went from like brown pee to like sun-kissed orange type color, right? And then they moved me to a room. And once they moved me to a room, they doubled up on the fluids. And so I was getting like 2 bags every half hour, and it was just like pumping, like, right, and just boom, 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 just constantly. And then, like, even overnight, I mean, when they would empty, somebody come in and swap them right back out. And it's like my chest blew up, my arms blew up, my legs blew up, everything just blew up. And like I was laying in my chair with my chest all puffed up and like really short breaths, like, and like I called my wife, FaceTime me, and I'm like going, looking at the phone. Like, she's like, why are you breathing like that? I'm like, I'm so full of fluids, like I can't even
Good.
right. I can't even. I don't know. So then they brought some diuretics and shot that into the IV. And no lie, like over the course of like 2 to 3 hours, I just watched myself like deflate. Like I could feel it going through the catheter. It was like constant, steady stream.
So is that in. Amanda? Do you know, is that part of the thing that like his body wouldn't process that liquid on its own? Like, why?
Well, they were giving him so much because it's with so they give anywhere from like 15, 18 to 24 liters of fluid a day at least on a rhabdo patient to force the kidneys to just keep working and flushing that out.
24 liters a day.
And so,
I've had that much beer before.
Your body, your kidneys can only work so hard, and then you start like overloading the body with fluid. So at that point, they got to help the kidneys out by giving the diuretic to cause them to just basically just go wide open, just constant stream. Just.
And when they did that, it turned white. Like the pee was like clear for like for half a day or whatever while they did that process with the diuretics. And then the next day it went back to orange again. And I was like, oh, what a bummer. Because I thought, like, oh, we fixed it. No, we didn't fix it. And
this overloaded.
So then they just kept doing the fluids, kept the catheter in, and eventually a couple days later, it just started turning gold, and then it started turning normal pea color, and I was like, oh my God, this is so much better. And finally they took the catheter out and got to a point where, they were comfortable sending me home. But
when you have a catheter in, do you consciously pee, or is it just moves through
you? It
you?
just happens.
So you're not putting any effort into it.
It's passed through your sphincter and everything, so you can't tighten it off or anything. It's got you held open.
So it's coming in and going out, coming in and going out.
It feels pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah, you like
you're
that.
Just laying there drinking water. It's just going right out. Okay. I need one of these for get a case of beer. And I'm going to sit here and drink.
They should sell like a catheter beer and morphine set that you could take home for the weekend. Right. For the weekend warrior in you. You've earned that.
This is going to be a weekend session, guys. We need a catheter.
I've got Rhabdo, dude. I can't do anything. Get my catheter set. Give me my natural light and my morphine.
But
let's get it on.
But I got so puffed up, and they have to take blood they're taking blood every 12 hours, right? So they'll take blood at 7 o'clock at night. They'll take blood at 7 o'clock in the morning. Then they got to where they were taking it every 6 hours, or for whatever, I don't know what it was, but there was one time at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll remember this, is the lady came in to take my blood, and I'm so puffy that she can't get to a vein. And so she's sticking this needle in my arm, digging around in there for a vein, and I'm like, do you have to do that? and then she goes, well, let me call so-and-so to come help. So she calls somebody to come help. So-and-so comes in. She's like, man, maybe that's not a good spot. Let me try this spot. So she'll jabs in there another one. And then she starts digging around in a different spot. And then another person comes in, tries the other arm.
Did they not use the ultrasound machine?
They did.
Okay.
They got it had this thing they shot on there, but they still couldn't dig down.
Man.
And so now I've got holes, and when they poke holes, the fluid that's in there starts dripping out of it. It's like syrup coming out of my arms, and I'm like,
sorry.
I'm like, can you patch these leaks? Like, these things are like,
I'm leaking.
Literally, I was leaking. I was so fat and like full of. It was so depressing, and not only could I not move, I'm just got like springing leaks. And so finally this one lady walks in, the fourth lady. She goes over to my arm with the needle and just goes whoosh and just puts it right in there one time. Doesn't even, she's like, she almost had her eyes closed. Like, what? How'd you do that? She's like, I've done this for a while. She's like, you guys just weren't going deep enough, The vein's there. You just got to go through the...
You got to push through the liquid.
Or the gravy or whatever.
The gravy.
And so it was just day after day of just shit like that, But the people were so nice. I talked about the guy, Wayne, who was my nurse when I first got there. He brought me coffee like every day. Like even when he wasn't my nurse, like even if he was doing other things, he would go get me whatever the equivalent of their Starbucks is, and he would just come in and set it on my thing and be like, "Thanks, Wayne, that's awesome." And he'd sit there and talk to me. The paramedic, like 3 days after I was in the hospital, the paramedic comes back and brings me a CrossFit shirt from his gym, CrossFit Timmons.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
And he goes, I got you a medium. It looked like it would fit, but not right now. You look like you've done about 500 bench press reps or something like that.
What was the paramedic's name? Do you remember?
Sama. His name is like Sama. It starts with an S.
That narrows it down.
Yeah. Sama.
Google
I think
S.
is how you say it.
First name start with S.
I've got him on.
Do CrossFit
I've got him on Instagram.
in Canada.
I've got him on Instagram, but it doesn't say his name.
How's your mental state of mind at this point, 2 and 3 days into it?
Oh,
Are you
man.
bummed?
I'm super bummed. I'm in a room. It's just me. Like once I'm in a room by myself, there's nothing going on. It's quiet. There's no TV. There's no I'm just in a room. Like it's kind of like being in a...
No TV? Oh.
I had it. Well, I had a TV, but it didn't work. Like it was a DVD, and they had certain movies you could put in there, but I had to hook it up, and I couldn't.
Man, I wish I would have given you my highlight film to take with you.
Yeah,
you
I
could
could
just
have
watch that on repeat.
But I had to walk around. So I had to walk around to go get the. I would never ask anybody to set it up for me, obviously, which I don't know why I didn't do that, but. My cord wouldn't reach. My cord wouldn't reach around.
Plug it in.
Right? Can you help me with this VCR? And my IV wouldn't reach to where I could get it. Was way over in the corner, and so finally after a couple of 3 days, I just went over there, and I think after I got my catheter out, I went over there and was able to get it and hook it up, and I watched some really bad movies. But for the most part, it was just me sitting in a chair, and they quit giving me morphine, which is kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
He's all mad. They quit giving me more.
I was like,
That's when you check out.
I didn't want to ask for it, like, because then they'd think I was in pain, and then they wouldn't let me go.
Oh.
I was like, I don't want to.
That's a valid thought process.
I would have risked it.
Yeah.
But if I had morphine, I'd be happy to stay there for indefinitely.
Yeah. Man,
Did they give you any news about how you're gonna be able to recover fitness wise? Do you know what you're gonna be able to do or not do?
Well, I didn't have any of that kind of conversation until I got back, and I talked to my doctor today, and I said, "Look, what are we looking at here? Like, how long is this going to go on? Like, she wants to look at my liver now. I got to go get a ultrasound to look at my liver because she said those numbers were high, even though everything's still going down. She says everything's going to be fine. She just wants to look at it. But I said, when can I go run? Like, can I just go for a jog or a walk or something? And she said, it's going to be 4 weeks at least before you do anything that breaks any muscle down whatsoever. Like, you don't want to break any muscle down in your body at all until you're completely back to normal. She said, if you want to go walk a couple miles, if you want to go jog a couple miles, if that makes you feel good, go do it. But do nothing more than that, and don't do anything that will break any muscle mass down in your body. So
I imagine that's part of why you look thinner now is probably the loss of muscle. Your body, tearing or breaking down that muscle or whatever that you had before you went.
Yeah, maybe. I don't really know.
Is rhabdo something that once you get once, you're at a higher risk to get it again?
I think it depends on who you ask.
What's Doc say?
I don't think so. I mean, some people have a genetic predisposition to it. We have one guy that comes back. He gets it every time he gets sick. But Vaughn's super healthy, completely in a normal state. When he works out, does Murph, whatever, never has any problems. I think once he heals from this, he'll be fine, and he won't be at a higher, risk for it. I wouldn't think, unless his body does something funky. But
well, I'm also super aware of it now. I will probably won't ever do Murph again.
I was wondering how much that would impact your psyche with the next time that you're working out hard. It's always going to be there. Am I going too hard? What is the threshold? It's not like there's something in your body that's going to be like, beep, you hit Murph.
Well,
you hit
things
Rhabdo.
like Murph, where it's like 300, 100, 200. I'm not going to do that anymore. I just won't do it. I don't think at this point, if you ask me, I'm going to say anything like that is not going to get done. Not by me.
Well, Amanda said that there's movements that are probably more prone than others to cause rhabdo, like full extension, push-up type, movements that would
pull-ups and push-ups.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Wow.
And pressing, I guess. Another quick story. My doctor was a really cool guy. The first doctor was the guy who was like, "Whoa, man, what's in this jug?" And then I guess he got off work, and then I got my real doctor. Like once I moved upstairs to like a real room.
your admitting physician.
Yeah, and he was super interested. Like he said, he wanted to write a paper on it because it was so high. And did I already say this? When he walked in and told me my numbers, he pulled some strings and said, "Hey man, your enzyme level is like 650,000." And I said, "It's got to be a world record." It's like the first thing that popped into my head, and I told him that, and he goes, "Maybe it is." So he leaves the room. He leaves the room and comes back like a half hour later, and he's got all these papers. And
With a title belt. He's like, congratulations,
he goes,
champ.
"My first name's Justin." So any medical stuff I do is like Justin. He goes, "Justin, you're going to have to work harder." he goes, "The record is 1,400,000 something thousand.
Wow.
Things." And I said, "Well, what was that guy doing?" And he said it was a Hispanic guy who was doing the heavy squat workout with no warm-up and no prior training.
Really?
Wow.
So nothing even like super long and intense, just
different bodies do different things.
Wow.
And so that guy holds the record, I suppose. Not me, but I got close. I made a good run at it.
A good run at it, for sure. Much better than anybody in this room has done. I thought it was funny when you asked Amanda on the Slack channel, do most people that come in the hospital with Rhabdo come in there from fitness? And she said, yes, or it's old people who fall. And
I mean, we have people. So if
he could have just been an old guy that fell. Did you fall?
But
while
if
you
you're
were out
falling,
there?
if you're falling and you're bent in a certain position for a certain amount of time, it starts breaking down your muscle. You're in that contracted position. So we have a lot of elderly people that come in with rhabdo because they've fallen out of bed and can't get up, and they're found on the floor, 7 or 8 hours later by a family member, and they're in rhabdo from where they've stayed in that
And
contracted
I read a
position.
couple of cases where people were in car wrecks.
Yeah.
Or falling from a high distance.
Crush
Crush
injuries.
their bones and stuff like that.
Things that fall on you. That's why if there's like something falls on you, like a log or a building or a car falls on you and you're pinned and you're crushed, that's why you see medics out there with IV fluids with them at the crush site before they lift whatever's off, because all those toxins will blow back in your body. So you've got to be diluted down or that can kill you with the release of electrolytes and balance and all that.
Wow.
Next time you're at Breakaway running, you need to go use their restroom. And they have a poster that has, it's somewhat comical, but it's
the colors of urine
it's
poster?
also informative. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen
And
all
it's
those.
saying like, if it's this color, then go party, drink all you want. If it's this color, then, maybe a 6-pack would be fine. If it's this color, do this. And if it's this color, haul ass to the hospital. And I would be curious to see, I don't remember what that color was, but I would like to see how yours compared.
Probably wasn't as
man.
dark as what his actually was.
Yeah.
You can't imagine how dark it was. And I hate that I didn't take a picture of it, but it scared me to death. Like when I saw it, I was like, why doesn't it burn? I was like, shouldn't it be burning or something? Like, this isn't normal.
Well, how much of your time was spent in real fear? Were you scared for your life that maybe you weren't going to come out of this?
A little bit, yeah. It's just like, what is this permanent kidney damage? Like, this could really be bad. Like, and then when I heard how high the numbers were, I was like, oh, I just didn't know. You know what I mean? And I'm in a whole different country. I'm not at home, so it's not like I can bounce ideas off, somebody I know or whatever. Like it's just weird. So like all kinds of weird thoughts are in my head about like, oh shit, my kidneys aren't ever going to work again. My paramedic kept saying I was going to have to go get dialysis and all this stuff. And I didn't know what that was. And Holly was like, oh, that's where they take your kidneys out and wash. I was like, what are you talking? Like, I don't even know. Like, I'm so freaked out. Like, I'm imagining people like pulling my kidneys out and like washing them in soap or something and being like,
Like the guy in Temple of Doom where he reaches in and pulls his heart out.
And they were really they were so weird. Everybody was really nice, but it always felt like they weren't telling me something. Like, what are you guys talking about out there?
But like you said, they may not have known what to tell you because they had never seen it like that before.
And yeah.
Wait, they're just waiting on those levels. Every time you had a blood test, they were making sure that your numbers were going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Or they probably would have done dialysis on you, which they don't take your kidneys out and they just hook you.
I know
Okay.
that was a joke. But like,
Okay.
you know,
It's like, oh my God. But yeah. I'm sure that if they were just anticipating every time those numbers came back, like holding their breath to make sure that they weren't going to have to do something like majorly serious.
and then everybody in the that worked at the hospital wanted to come in there and ask me what I was doing. Like, where were you? Where were you exactly? Like, they wanted to know where I was. I was like, I don't know. It was an hour away from here because it was an hour ambulance ride. And then we went down a trail for like 5 miles. And that's where we were, in the middle of nowhere. Oh, you must have been over in Gamma Ray Bay, eh? Yeah. So I got the Gamma part from one guy, and then I just said that all the time. Somebody said it was over in Gamma something or other, and they'd be like, oh, yeah. Like, okay.
Well, not 90 seconds before we had gotten the news, Terry Morgan had put on the Lift Heavy Run Long community that she pointed out that you were gone, so there wasn't a roll call of what everybody was doing this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And she said, I like that, and I want to know what everybody was doing. I figured Wilson was pick up the slack, but he didn't because he's a bum. And I had just put a smart-ass comment about Vaughn will be back next week. Actually, probably not. We'll have to find somebody else to do it because Vaughn's probably dead. And then Swanson posts on Slack,
Yeah.
Hey, Holly just contacted me. Vaughn's in the hospital with, a really bad case of rhabdo. And I'm like, delete. Like, I couldn't get back and delete that comment fast enough because it was scary. Seeing that posted was really scary.
It was like I didn't know how to handle it. Like, I was like, I don't know that I want to tell anybody this. Do I want to tell anybody this?
Well, the crazy thing for me is like talking to Holly, and like I knew it was bad, but I don't know, maybe I just wasn't processing it to the level of how bad it was. And it's as you've shared more and more since that initial call from Holly that I was like, oh, well, fuck, like, oh shit, like, like this was really, really, really bad. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just didn't have my mind right.
It's definitely intensified as we've gotten more news,
as I've gotten
more information,
realizing how bad it actually was. I was in the car with Katie, and get a random phone call from a phone number I don't know, and I answer it, but it's a 901 number, so I answer it, and it's Holly, and she tells me what's going on, and I like pulled over the car, and I was like, fuck, like my big thing was he's going to be so heartbroken about the fact that he had to drop out of this thing. Like, I wasn't even concerned that you were going to the hospital or whatever. Like, oh, rhabdo, we've had rhabdo, from Murph before. Like I said, like I didn't realize it was as bad as it was.
Oh man, he DNF special ops training.
Yeah, exactly.
What a shame.
He's going to really hate the fact that he, had to drop out of it and didn't finish it and blah, blah, blah. And anyways, it's just been kind of crazy as you've been able to tell us more and more about what happened. That just makes me all the more grateful that you're back and that you're on your way to being healthy.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you said something about we've all had rhabdo before. Is there a defining point where you do or do not have rhabdo, or during these endurance events, is it common for every participant or most participants to go into at least some level of what could be considered rhabdo, and then there's bad cases and not bad cases?
What level do you have to be at for it officially to be rhabdo?
I mean, at some point, do we start excreting whatever it is that excretes during rhabdo?
So myoglobin, when your muscles start breaking down, and your kidneys can handle a little bit of myoglobin, but once you get that tipping point where it spills over in the urine, and that's when you see it. I mean, everybody's different, but I would say, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's really a defining number. It's just when people spill over into their urine, maybe 5,000. But that's just total guess. That's not even like an educated guess. That's just a guess. But, in pharmacy school, before I even kind of could understand what was going on. I remember the teacher teaching us, if you had a marathon runner come in or some type of a runner from a race come in to the emergency room, whether they broke their leg or they came in heat exhaustion or whatever, and you ran levels on them, it would look like they were in kidney failure or kidney injury. And it's just because, they're burning through muscle at that point because they're doing an exercise. And so you don't want to walk in that room and be like, oh man, your kidneys are shutting down, or you've got kidney injury, and then freak out and think that they have kidney problems when really it's just part of their body going through the exercise. So I know that.
So the upper, according to quick Google search, the upper level safe level is 1,000.
Okay.
So a level above 1,000 indicates rhabdomyolysis is what.
So 600,000 would be a legitimate case of. We're glad you went to the hospital.
He wasn't faking it.
I was not faking it.
Wow.
And I was worried about that. I was worried that they would think I was faking it or something. Like, oh man, I just.
That's what I asked about the validation. That would have been a real concern for me.
I was like, dude, no, I really can't move my arms. Like, I'm not screwing around here. Like, this is really bad. And I don't think they didn't believe me. You know what I mean? But it did cross my mind. Like, man, I bet they're looking at me like.
That's what I would have thought. Hey, bus driver, we got another pussy. Take him back to Mississippi.
Right.
And I would have been thinking, please be something
I'm sure they've probably seen
deathly wrong with me.
Yeah, but
Rhabdo.
they were so nice that I was totally going to go back to the room that they had and stay there. And I'd be like, yeah.
That kind of cracks me up that they actually had hotel rooms because.
Yeah, do what? They had a room that you go to if you drop
The
out?
medic
No.
did. No, the medic had a room.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think that's part of the program.
The staff had a hotel room where they were staying when they weren't camping out in the woods.
When they weren't yelling at you and making you do crazy stuff.
All right. So they said you could go, hang out there.
Huh.
So I had totally planned on doing that, but then I had to pee and all that happened. So,
Man, well, we're glad that's where it's at right now, and I hope it gets better soon. And I do. I admire your attitude about it, and I hope that you take the recovery seriously and that it leads to good things.
You went for a 1 mile walk today?
I went for a 1 mile walk today. Yep.
Felt good?
Felt good. So I'll probably go for a jog at some point, just to go for a jog. And
I'd be interested to know, like, because you talked about your right arm, shoulder, whatever, being kind of messed up and not being able to do much with it. Like, if that's just gonna get better over time, or if that's a PT situation because of I know you said you had an MRI or whatever, and it didn't show anything bad, but is it stressed in some way that you're going to need PT to get back to normal function? Or
man, I hope not. I don't want to go to see any more doctors.
I get it.
I'm not going to have any money left.
I get it. We'll start a GoFundMe for you.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm probably going to get like $1 million hospital bill from
Not from Canada, you won't.
from Canada.
Socialized medicine.
Yeah.
But I
Free
don't
healthcare.
live there though.
It doesn't matter.
Just don't go back there.
They're gonna what's that called? Extradite? Is that the right word? Where they basically
You're asking the wrong dude.
make you
Import you.
make you leave the country you're in to go to another
Yeah.
country to face charges.
Yeah.
Extradite.
Extradite.
Debtor's
you.
prison.
We're out of time, gentlemen.
Hey.
Lift Heavy
Hey,
Run
lady.
Long number 147 is in the books.
All right.